All right. We are on. We're live. Can you hit the light for us?
Yep.
Welcome back, people. Welcome back to another episode of an original late night podcast. We
Hey,
are your
everybody.
hosts.
I gotta get better.
No, I mean, yeah, we saying hello, essentially. This is another week we got for you, another episode we got for you. Hopefully, I mean, we didn't bring the week to you, but we're bringing this week's energy in the form of a podcast to you from us to wherever you are. Um, by the time you hear this, it might be a little later than it is now, but hopefully you stay up long enough to, check this whole thing out and, go on the journey with us.
Absolutely. I hope everybody's been having a blessed week. And hopefully, this is something that you look forward to. So, definitely subscribe so you know that when we drop another episode, you
Yeah,
can
definitely.
catch us right on time.
Definitely do that. And if you haven't already, go back and check out some of our, past episodes and share them, of course. Hopefully you like a few if you do. And we'll keep getting better and keep bringing, questions, thoughts, um, raising topics that we just feel are necessary to talk about, or things that we've felt, things that are on our hearts, you know, but essentially starting conversations and continuing conversations to help us all, through
Let's walk this journey.
this walk, this journey, this season
Yeah.
called life, So
Yeah. It's good stuff. You're getting like so good at this.
mhm.
Like how you intro.
I have to edit that out now. But yeah, so I hope everybody is having a blessed night and has had a blessed week, like you said. How
So
are you
you,
feeling?
oh,
Okay.
you know how we kick it off, but
What were you about to say though?
I was literally going to say, but you know how we kick it off to the listeners and they ask you how you were doing
True.
or how you were feeling, rather.
Well, go ahead.
You know how we kick it off. So how you feeling
I
tonight?
just asked you, so go ahead.
It sucks. I am feeling. I'm good. I'm good. I
Good.
think it's been a fulfilling week of this conversation. So I feel kind of like filled up to where, I'm just in that I don't know, what do you call that really? When you get on like a I'm just in a good zone. I'll just put it that way.
Good.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, I'm a little tired maybe, but I don't think I'm like sleepy tired. I think I'm just tired because I've been hopefully putting energy out, in hopes of, I guess, emptying myself in the right way or emptying the bucket, as Inky Johnson, calls it, emptying the bucket. I think he has like a podcast audio mixtape type thing called that. But anyway, yeah, I feel like that's got to be the goal. To if we're gonna deplete ourselves of energy, let us do it through I guess just in ways that are fulfilling, which is kind of like oxymoron. But I want to be fulfilled by emptying myself in the right way. So
Yeah.
make that way, I know when it's time to rest or when it's time to replenish myself. Like I can now fill myself back up in the right way so that I can do it all again, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not like just drained for no reason, but I feel like I just been trying to put forth energy, put out energy to like really just continue to trust like doing what's in my heart to do,
Yeah.
trust in the process, that whole thing. So yeah, but I feel great, I would say. I think I've been saying that this week actually a couple of times. Some people have asked think I responded in that way. Like I feel good or I feel great. So I'm thankful for that. And
Yeah.
it's not just, it's like a more conscious decision to kind of say that too. Like not in a fake way, but just like I'm setting my, it's like you set your thermometer, you know.
Mhm.
It's like I didn't want to be complaining about nothing this week. So
Good.
yeah.
I like that. I like that you said that. I I feel the same way. Um I definitely feel like I've been pushing myself and I am pushing myself, but it really helps just to be able to have like certain types of conversations that keeps your mind elevated. So even when you are kind of just like pushing through or giving your energy to this thing, at least you are being filled up and met with the opportunity to just continue discussing things that will allow you to like keep going. I
Mm-hmm.
think if we don't really realize sometimes the value that has until you do take a step back, or even if you're in the middle of it, if you can just remember, it does help a lot. And I think that's just kind of like the space that I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's good. Remembering, I guess, like, what all would you be remembering? Like, what are some of the things you would remember? Like, not maybe so explicitly or specific, but like, you know,
mm, I don't know, just remembering that if you can get through like a certain season, like you can beat anything.
yeah,
And for whoever that season, it could be whatever the season feels like to you, like whatever it feels like you're facing or you might be having challenges with. If you
yeah,
could look at that thing and say to yourself, um, if I can get through this, then I can, like, there's nothing that can stop me,
yeah,
knowing that this is literally one of the things that feels like it has the ability to stop me. If I
mm-hmm.
can overcome that,
Mm-hmm.
um, then like it's up from there. Um, and just having that mentality just allows keep going. Like I think that's
Up, up meaning like you're gonna continue to go in a positive direction,
yeah.
or like I guess even your sights being set, I guess higher, almost like I guess your gaze is raised, like your head is no longer hanging, but you hold your chin high, like that kind of up.
Yeah.
True.
Confidence and just being just recognizing the power that you truly have and hold,
Yeah.
and like our our situations and the things that we go through is not more powerful than we are.
Yeah. That is true. I think that's good. I mean, the word remembering kind of stuck out, so I just wanted you to like kind of go a little deeper with that for the listeners, but and for me. But I think in remembering, it's interesting. It just kind of takes me to, for some reason, like the importance of having a vision. And I know some of these themes are like so interwoven. I'm sure we talk about having a vision a lot, but that was kind of, a good bit of our conversation earlier today. Um, or part of it at least, but just in having a vision, it's funny because like to have a vision, I guess, I mean, it's like you would think of that as something that's in front of you, but even remembering can be an important element to like the practical side of like living or walking in that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to remember why you started. You got to remember maybe the promise you made to yourself, or remember the promises God has made to you, or even just remembering where you're going. Like in hindsight, considering the vision that you have
Mm-hmm.
in front of you. You know what I mean? It can't always just be in front of you. Sometimes for anything to have been behind you is just a reminder that you've already begun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you you've already started down the path. It's not something that's like you're just constantly chasing, you know. Otherwise, I feel like that is why we could get tired of like chasing something,
Yeah.
like because we never feel like we can get it. So it's like, what's the point? What's
Mm-hmm.
this worth? But to your point, you said remembering. You know, I feel like to remember is to know like you have taken steps. You are taking steps. You are, you know, striving, maybe even chasing, but not aimlessly. You know what I mean? Like not without having already made progress or maybe even failed, but not having failed without already, you know, being pushed or pushing yourself or, you know, doing things purposefully just because you didn't obtain it yet or obtain this whole entire bigger picture. Like bits and pieces are being put together,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I wanna kind of talk about vision. I mean, I guess the importance of having a vision and and maybe what it looks like to lack vision, you know, as the
Mm-hmm.
Bible kind of talks about, like, you know, for lack of vision, people perish. Um, I think I've also heard it put for lack of vision or for lack of knowledge, people perish as well. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on having a vision and the importance of that?
I mean, it's definitely important. Vision in and of itself, implying seeing. I think we need to have something to look forward to. We should have something to look forward to. I think even in hearing like having a vision, sometimes that can be intimidating for people
Mm-hmm.
because it sounds like just this all around bigger picture of something for your life.
Or you would say this grandiose thing.
Yes, I was actually going to use that, but I didn't. Yeah. And you know, it can be we can have visions on things that will even allow us to like just take a step even with our day. Like maybe we don't have the entire life a picture figured out yet, but if we can even get a picture of what it looks like for our day,
It's good. There's an action word for that.
what
Like we
is
can
it?
take a moment to envision, like with an E. Like we can put energy into
Ooh,
tapping into that vision or creating
that's cool.
a vision.
Did y'all hear that? That was good.
I mean, you took us there, but yeah, I mean, what you're saying to do, I'm just putting it into one word. So there's a vision, that bigger picture that
Mm,
you're talking about, that God given, ordained, I would say journey, walk that might be broken down into parts, but you know, there's an ultimate purpose behind it. And then we have envisioning or the act of envisioning, which is what you're saying, I believe.
yeah.
Like you can break that down to what am I about to do with this hour, or what do I see myself accomplishing this month or today?
Yeah, exactly. And to what you're saying as well, that's good because I was even thinking about, I think we kind of talked about this too, but just when we really simplify it down to just doing what we should do as well, like being able to incorporate that into what we, you know, let's say we are starting from the day perspective, what should we be doing for that day?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that that gives us drive, that gives us direction.
Definitely
Um,
gives us energy.
it gives us energy. And energy moves, so that's why it is important to do the things that we should be doing
Yeah,
or that we said we were gonna do, because without it, speaking to the lack of vision, you know, we we do become stagnant, and as a result, we can even I think stagnation can even cause confusion sometimes because we're not moving.
I think there's a scientific um, saying or a statement. It might even be a law that is energy in motion stays in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, with what you're saying, if we can find a way to, you know, envision on a daily basis, like you said, and even throughout the day. I mean, it's not just about staying busy because obviously the vision is like more, important than just frivolous acts. It's like these are again purposeful um, steps, or this is a purposeful picture that we're painting. So it's not to say everybody's life is not purposeful. Like everybody plays their role, but to know, more specifically on a daily basis and become, like you said earlier, more confident in who you are and what it is, you're here and alive to do. What it is you're passionate about, what it is you're supposed to give, to share. I mean, I think all of that, if you can put that into motion and keep that in motion,
Mm-hmm.
essentially it'll stay in motion. Even
Yeah.
if you're giving it away, like you're inspiring somebody else to do that same thing,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I think also because I said that stagnation can cause confusion too,
Yeah.
but I think, there are those of us who may be out there that they are moving and going, and they can feel those feelings of like confusion, even though they have this like picture in mind. And I think that's okay when you're in the midst of it, but the difference is that one of the key factors, like you said, is it's not just these frivolous acts though. We are still doing things or filling ourselves up with things that will, as we spoke on literally not too long ago, that will allow us to remember why we're doing the thing or like what direction we're going in.
Yeah. I mean, so filling ourselves up with the word. What
Yes.
else?
I mean, I think it can be even things we enjoy. It could be shows, it can be music.
Affirmation, positivity, not just any show, not just any music, but I would even say specific to, who we are and what we're called to do. Like spend more time with specific, I guess, activity.
The conversations we're having.
Yeah, intentional activity.
Yeah, intentional activity. I've been saying that word for the past.
See how she just
No, that's so crazy that you're saying
intentional
that.
activity, literally.
Yes.
Oh well,
I'll have
it's
to
not really
show you.
crazy. We're supposed to be in sync. They're supposed to be getting our synergy through this
We in
podcast.
sync. That's what is happening right
But
now.
we supposed to act like we already know we in sync. But yeah, I mean that is, if you've been saying that, that's crazy. I guess I ain't saying nothing special.
No, what you're saying is great.
But what I'm saying is I don't get credit.
No, you get credit.
But no, so yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is really good. I mean, you brought us to the point of breaking down what it is to have a vision because like you said, I think you said this, but a lot of people are kind of in a way daunted by the task or the responsibility or even the meaning of what it means to have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can understand it on like a very, you know, basic level, and not basic in a bad way, but like today, by the grace of God, we have today in front of us. What are we going to do? Obviously, most people, I got to go to work or I'm off work or I'm doing this or doing that, hanging out, running an errand, exercise, got to eat, of course, sleep, but outside of the regularly scheduled programming, I mean, I think if we can take time to envision, like we'll probably find where we have plenty of time to actually fill with intentional activity,
Yeah.
So once you maybe become attracted by what it means to have a vision, or even if it's the thought or the idea of like, okay, let me entertain, like considering even if it is, am I living my life as though I have a vision, or am I just, alive and
Yeah.
kind of going through the motions? And that's no disrespect to anybody because you might not, really know what it means to have a vision, or you might have never heard that term before. But where I kind of got it from and learned it from is just, obviously that, like we said, there's a scripture in the Bible that just refers to, you know, for lack of vision, my people perish, or for lack of vision, people perish. Essentially stating like without vision, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, almost like you don't, um, you don't have a fruitful path, or you don't have like, a life bearing uh destiny, maybe, you know. Like, I don't want to make it sound worse than what it is, but perish is kind of a, you whittle away, right?
Yeah.
Almost like a leaf in the fall. But I feel like to have a vision, I mean, it's almost as though you're replenished, you're replenishing, you're doing your job, taking care of yourself, but you're also doing your job and playing your part in taking care of others in the world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think us just conceiving and learning what it means to have a vision allows us to even break that down to like the daily. So now it doesn't have to be about, I gotta get this whole picture all at once so that I can be this thing, but it's more so, I know that that's the picture, but what is today's picture, you know? And it's like, putting together, what's that thing called doing New Year's?
A resolution.
No, the board.
Oh, a vision board.
Yeah, it's like putting together the vision board, like, or a vision board. It's like it's not gonna be done all at once.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta piece together, and really, if you're really doing it, like, and you want to really make it creative, you gotta really envision.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just oh, my board's gonna look like this. You might have in your mind an idea of how, but you gotta go find and search through, and it takes a little work and a little time. Really, you should be starting before the night of, if you really want it to look like something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's, microcosm or metaphoric, obviously, but with anything, you have a big project you want to complete, or a long paper you're trying to write, like, you wouldn't start the day of unless you're just that gifted. But even then, imagine if you started sooner, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's important because I mean it does help and it gives more direction and clarity to start that way because it just might be an area. It doesn't have to be everything at once. I feel like we might recognize that there are plenty of areas that there are plenty of areas that might require our attention
yeah,
for growth and improvement. But if we can identify like the main thing, the main thing could might be attitude. Like it might be the inward thing first, or maybe you got the attitude down packed, and you might have to work on management
yeah,
and of time or money or whatever those things might be. So,
yeah,
whatever those things are for you, I think we start with the one thing, and as that improves, I think it begins to affect other areas of our lives. And ultimately we can start to see the bigger picture coming together, and the bigger picture starts to become clearer, and we just we keep going.
yeah. That's true. That's very true. Well, let's kind of piggyback off of the word that you said that we both said,
Mm-hmm.
or the phrase, I guess. Um, Intentional
Intentional
activity.
activity.
I was trying to wait for you to.
Yay.
But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, and maybe even the opposite of that. But yeah, I mean, I guess what attracted you to that, or what do you think brought that to mind? This week, like what type of instance or feeling or observation of your own self, or the situation you might have found yourself in, or have found yourself in multiple times, maybe, I don't know what.
Well, I'm always thinking about people and community,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think about how I personally, I want to connect with people,
Yeah,
but I don't want to just do any old thing.
yeah,
I want to be intentional about what we're doing. Like my literal motive or purpose for wanting to connect is for wanting to pour into people.
yeah,
And that's a very intentional act for me. So to want to invite somebody into my space is because I have an intention. there. So I want to be able to do things that have a purpose attached to it, and everything in between it that might come with it, the laughter and all that good fun stuff is cool, but from the beginning there's a purpose.
Yeah.
And with with that, when the connection takes place, we can go in a direction,
Yeah.
and um the person can leave with something
Yeah.
from me. They can leave with an interaction that hopefully inspires them to take action in their own way, or be inspired to do something, or think differently, or broaden their perspective about something,
Yeah.
and ultimately leave strengthened and encouraged. And so as I think about, again, connecting with other people, that thought is like, wow, we're doing things intentionally is intentional activity.
Yeah.
Like that's literally how it came to mind
Yeah.
for me.
Well, that's good. I mean, to rewind, I guess, a little bit for anybody who might, I guess, maybe be really considering the phrase, it's like intentional activity. Like intentional can be like on purpose, like you did something on purpose. Like, was that intentional? Yeah, it was. But I guess we're referring to more so the intentional, and I'm not, this is obvious to me, but it might not be. It could be confusing.
Yeah.
Intentional activity that we're referring to is with a purpose,
Yeah.
like to be intentional, so we're not just talking about on purpose activity. We're talking about like activity with a purpose. So the things that you're doing are for a purpose. The things that you're doing are for a very specific purpose. Even if you don't know, like you can't predict the outcome or maybe how something is gonna go or how you're gonna get there. I mean, it's very similar to like a vision. You can have the picture or you have the destination, but you don't know the path that you're necessarily gonna have to take. But you're determined on that path. You're gonna set your attitude on that path. You're gonna remain confident on that path. You're gonna, you know, um, obviously seek, within or seek the Lord on that path. You're not just gonna allow yourself to, you know, give up because then there's no reason to have you know, the
Yeah.
vision or the picture or to behold it, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But so breaking it down again, like, so even with an activity, like you said, you might have, for the purpose of getting people together or connecting with people, like it's intentional for you, that activity, whatever the activity is like, this is for a purpose.
Yeah. That is a great distinction.
But just to, make it a little more plain for our younger listeners or maybe.
Yeah. And it might look differently for different people. So, I mean, I just gave one example of what that looks like for me or where that came from, but
Yeah.
we have to be that even for or with ourselves, even like what the things that we're engaging in or what we're indulging in. We need to say like for what. Like I think we should designate a reason why we are indulging in this type of activity.
You said what's intentional activity to me?
Hmm?
You said what is intentional activity to me?
Yeah, like identifying.
I'm saying you're asking me.
No, I didn't ask you a
I know.
question.
I know.
But yeah, what is it for you?
You supposed to.
Yeah, tell us.
She talking about tell us. I'm just trying to add some. Nah, but I mean, to me or for me, I would say if I'm like, for example, if I'm reading a book, for one, I'm not just gonna pick up a random book. I mean, but if something for whatever reason attracts me to a book, I'm just in the library and I just see a cover or a title that makes me want to pick the book up. Somebody might say, well, library is a boring place. Well, I like to read and write. So for me, it's like being in a candy store.
Mm-hmm.
It might be an old, dusty, used candy store, but you might find, some candy that's still wrapped up and is good. But jokes aside, like, so as I'm reading a book, like, I might not know what I'm looking for. I never read that book before necessarily. But once I come across a sentence or a part that's speaking to me, like, I'll slow down. I'll read it again. I'll write a line down or highlight it, or if it's my own book that I purchase, of course. But even if it is something from the library and I need that book, like I'd rather buy it from the library if I have to, like just intentional activity,
Yeah.
But it's not just like, oh, I read another book. Oh, I read another book. And it's not to say you can never do something for leisure or for entertainment or for fun, but even in those activities, I feel like if that's the intention, if the intention is to laugh, to whatever, like let that be the intention. But if the intention is to learn, or if you know who you are, even like something about who you are and what you're doing, I feel like should connect at some point. Like
Yeah.
you should be either pouring into, if it's another person or if it's an activity, emptying yourself, or you should be on the receiving end, like being filled up, being energized, or otherwise it's probably not. You should be being fulfilled, or otherwise it's probably not, you know, worth your time. I
Yeah.
think like there's a time when it's like, all right, that's enough of that. Let me go
Mm-hmm.
spend my time more intentionally.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what I you know think about that. Those are some examples of what you know, or if I'm writing, I guess if I'm giving another example, like as I write, like I like to look words up and just make sure I'm writing exactly what it is that I'm trying to convey.
Yeah.
Like it's not just anything, you know.
Right.
Or if I did just write anything, now let's go back and edit that. If I just had to get it down first, but just being intentional, getting up, making the bed. That's intentional activity.
Yeah.
Starting the day off by completing a simple task, but it gets you going in the right direction. As I've learned, like seeing the house clean, my space,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
That's important. You don't have to make it so deep all the time.
brush your teeth
Yeah.
twice a day at least, and floss.
Yeah. No,
Like,
seriously. And
yeah,
because those things end up translating into us talking about like clarity with the bigger picture, or, you know, that even allows you to begin to cultivate the right habits.
yeah,
Um, and I think that might, saying intentional activity might even be the best way to like literally assess how to go about it in the moment,
yeah,
because those decisions create the habits, which create ultimately who we are and how we want to operate. And well, whatever vision we do end up creating, be it for our day or for our life, it all connects back to
yeah,
intentional activity.
yeah. That's a great phrase that you came up with. So
Okay,
what?
you came up with that.
So essentially, yeah, the other scripture, aside from for lack of vision, my people perish, there's also write the vision and make it plain. And again, this may have been something we mentioned if you've listened to, any of our previous podcasts, we might have mentioned it. But it is big to write the vision. The vision is big, so don't think you're just about to sit down and write it all at once, or that it's all gonna come at once. But I would say take time to write the vision. Then as you continue to take time to write the vision, you should never stop doing that, but you still might have essentially the picture and you know what you're moving towards. Like try to do that, on the regular, if not every day, try to consider what your focus is for, like, it's January now, like going into January, what's my focus? Or going into February actually now, like what's my focus? Or, going into this year, it's still early enough that you can decide, you know, what the quote unquote temperature of this year is going to be for you, or what the focus is going to be for you, and then as we just talked about intentional activity, like, carry out your days and your time spent doing things intentionally, being intentional, you know, um, planning out intentional acts,
Yeah.
basically. So, I mean, those are some action steps. But yeah, the Bible definitely speaks about writing the vision and making it plain. And the Bible is a great resource. There's a lot of principle things in there that it doesn't really matter. I would say I would go out on a limb and say it doesn't really matter what you believe in. Like these things just are. Like if you write the vision and make it plain, you can see it. You can see what life is about. You can see what where you're going, where you're heading, like what
Mm-hmm.
you want, what you desire. And it doesn't mean everything that you see, like none of it you should challenge or change, but you should lay it out there and know where you're headed. See where your heart is. It's a way of self-assessing, in my opinion. But it also says, like, again, for lack of vision, my people perish. So, if you don't have a vision, I think I would say it's important to get one. It doesn't matter, like, in this current moment, like, what your faith is, whether you're, a Christian, a Buddhist, or whatever, like, or, Muslim, or, I don't want to sit up here and try to name every religion, but all inclusive. I think if you're a human being, you know, it's important that you consider where it is, your life is heading so that you can, get up every day and be more intentional about, being fulfilled and fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah.
So I know that might be it's late, but tomorrow's gonna be a great day if you start doing that.
Yeah.
And tonight, even, you might have a dream tonight that might help you get up, energized, and write your vision and make it plain.
For sure.
So,
Definitely want y'all to do that. Get some the good night's rest.
are we putting them to bed?
No, but
I'm just playing.
you might be resting.
True. Well, good night.
Okay. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're going into your day or getting ready for bed, um, just definitely think about the things that we're saying, and if anything sticks out to you, write it down so that you can revisit it or hit the replay button and go back to your favorite parts. So,
Yeah. So, write the vision, make it plain. What's the next step? Envision on a daily basis, if possible. And
be intentional.
there we go. All right. Yeah, have a good night. See y'all next week.
See you guys, or talk to you guys later.
We love you, and yeah, be great.
Be blessed.
Peace.